Hello, story lovers. Welcome to Folks and Tales, your one stop channel for stories that inspire and lessons that last. Time, they say, can be of essence and favor you, but it can also turn around to disfavor you for all it cares. Human beings, just like time, can love you to the hilltop and back. On the other hand, they can reject you as though they never knew you. Cynthia was an Ogoni woman who was married to a gentle medical doctor known as Chris. Chris didn't talk much but was reserved to a fault. His hobby was his job that gave him joy and his family that was always around him after work. While growing up, it was all fun for Cynthia and her younger brother Bosco. Cynthia was loved by her brother Bosco, and Bosco, who was the last child out of 4 children, was loved by his elder sister Cynthia. No one dared touch Bosco, whether Cynthia was around or not. You dare not make Bosco cry or even unhappy. This left Bosco doing all sorts of mischievous acts. Barry, their mother, often wondered what it was that made the two of them to mingle and tangle like 5 and 6, but it was just natural love. No one could come between them, not even their siblings. This love was interrupted when Cynthia got married to her husband Chris. It wasn't that she didn't love her younger brother any longer, but Cynthia started giving her immediate family more attention, and since Bosco was still living with his mother and siblings, distance played a vital role in separating them that out of sight seemed to become out of mind. This didn't stop Cynthia from doing whatever she wanted to do for her younger brother. Years passed and Bosco grew into a young man who was ripe enough for marriage. Good girls came around Bosco, but he objected marrying them. Even after Cynthia urged him to pick a wife, Bosco refused with the excuse that he was still a young guy and he wasn't ready to be tied down by any marriage. Since this was his decision, his siblings and parents left him and concentrated on their personal affairs. Cynthia gave birth to twins a year later. She remained indoors and for some months, because of the pregnancy that gave her issues with little complications, when she had regained her strength and good health condition, she decided to pay the family house an unannounced visit. With the intent to surprise everyone, the visit had to be brief as the babies were alone with Cynthia's maid and would soon need to be breastfed. Dashing into their family house premises, Cynthia asked, "Who is here? Is anyone at home?" She heard voices at the backyard as if people were in an argument. She also heard someone crying. Cynthia wondered what the matter was, but couldn't make anything out of what she was hearing. She tiptoed and went closer, trying to catch even one thing they were saying. That was when she heard the voice of a young girl who sounded like someone in her mid-20s, insisting that she would not remove her baby. Her brother Bosco responded that she must get rid of it, while their mother, who was trying to calm them down, was quiet because none of them stopped to listen to her. Cynthia had put 2 and 2 together and knew exactly what was going on. She dashed into the argument without her usual pleasantries and interrupted. "Nobody will remove or kill any baby, Bosco. It is against our upbringing," she said frantically. Then turning to her mother, she asked, "Mother, did you not tell Bosco that it is a sin to commit abortion?" "I told him, oh. I have been saying it even before you arrived, but they have been shouting on top of their voices, and none of them agreed to listen to me." Cynthia went closer and stood between her younger brother and the girl, stating, as she wagged her finger in front of her brother's face, warning him of his disrespectful attitude towards their mother and the family as a whole. "Bosco, you will do not such thing as to commit abortion. You must marry this girl." "Says who?" cut in Bosco. "Says I, your elder sister. It is a sin in the eyes of God. Turning to the young lady, Cynthia asked, "What is your name, young lady?" The girl, who was still sobbing, replied, "My name is Barine Lady." "Where are you from? Do you live with your parents?" "Yes, ma. I'm from Gokana. My parents live in Port Harcourt City." Cynthia turned back to her brother, who turned away frowning. "Look here, Bosco. I am disappointed in you. Get ready, because you will marry this girl you impregnated. You must live up to your responsibilities, so start making plans on how to go about it." Hearing this from Cynthia, their mother looked at her in surprise, indicating that she had no right to say that. Bosco became so furious and stood up from his seat. "Never! I will never marry a girl that is not my choice," Bosco said. Cynthia asked the girl to go home, for she had stayed long enough while she faced her mother. "Mother, I know you love Bosco, your only son, but you should not allow him to make such mistakes as to commit an abortion. He should face the music after playing the piper." Donubari, a simple woman, asked Cynthia to wait and listen to what she had to say. "Bosco is my son, my only son at that. This is a matter that we have to think over. So let us all go home and sleep over it and come back with our ideas. Is that okay?" "Yes, mother," they both echoed. After giving it some days of meditation, Donubari and her children came together to discuss the issue concerning Bosco and the girl he impregnated. Coming to a conclusion was not an easy thing. The house was divided, with Donubari and her son Bosco on one side, disagreeing that Bosco should get married to the girl. On the other side was Cynthia and her two other siblings, on the positive side that Bosco should marry the girl. "We are not even ready for a marriage ceremony right now," said their mother, using it as a reason for objecting. "Bosco can take the child when the child is born, and I, his mother, can take care of my own grandchild. He doesn't have to marry her." "How do you mean?" asked Cynthia. "There is no money for both traditional engagement and the ceremony itself," Donu clarified her family. "I totally agree with you, mother. We are not prepared for this. Maybe next year or 2 years more. By then, we must have done a lot of cutting down on our expenses. Then, we will be prepared," Bosco said, supporting his mother. Truly, mother, I agree with you. Bosco doesn't have the strength to carry the financial burden of a marriage ceremony now. Neither do you, mother," said Cynthia. Yes, of course. I've been trying to let you understand from the beginning, but you couldn't get it," their mother responded. Bosco nodded his head in consent of what his mother just said and was so happy that they had just convinced Cynthia to stop pushing her luck. As if being defeated, Cynthia stood up from her chair to leave. Then she asked her other two younger ones if they had anything to say concerning the matter, but they both said they were on her side. Seeing that she wasn't alone, Cynthia asked her mother if that was the only reason she would not want Bosco to marry the girl he got pregnant. Donna replied with a yes. On that note, Bosco will be getting married to the girl. It will be a big wedding with guests from far and wide. My husband and I will be sponsoring the wedding, said Cynthia as she grabbed her bag and left everyone in the room, surprised with herself. Cynthia began to ask herself what she had done. She took the responsibility of something huge without informing her husband first. She was determined to show her family that it was wrong to abandon the young girl with Bosco's baby growing inside of her. I don't know how to break this news to my husband. God, help me come through this one, Cynthia kept saying to herself. As soon as she got home, Cynthia went straight to the bedroom to look for her husband, who was not back from work. This created suspense in her and she started to burst with anxiety. It was not quite long when the doorbell rang. It was her husband, Chris, with two of his friends. She welcomed them in as she opened the door. Chris and his doctor friends chatted and laughed on top of some bottles of juice, while Cynthia kept praying that her husband's friends left so she could talk to him about her younger brother's issue. Finally, the opportunity came when the guests left. How Cynthia would start the story was suddenly a problem. She helped her husband remove his tie, then his shoe and jacket. Chris began to wonder where this type of love was coming from. He cleared his throat and teased his wife. How much money do you want to ask for now? Said Chris. Money? No, I don't want money, dear. You gave me money just yesterday and I have not even spent it, Cynthia replied. Then, what is the reason for this unusual nice gesture? Her husband asked eagerly. Knowing that her attitude had given her away, she asked her husband to relax, that it was nothing much, she just wanted to discuss something important with him. After having their meal, they relaxed a little, and Chris reminded his wife of what she wanted to discuss with him. Cynthia, pretending to have forgotten, gave an exclamation. Oh, yes, I forgot. You remember the other day I told you I wanted to give my mom a surprise visit? I actually did, but instead of me surprising them, they ended up surprising me, Cynthia said, lowering her voice. How? Asked Chris, as he adjusted himself properly on his seat. My dear husband, as I entered the compound, I made a loud noise asking if anyone was at home. No one responded, so I checked and the front door was not locked. I opened the door and entered unannounced, when I overheard some noise as if coming from the backyard. I set my ears properly to know what I could pick from the shouting and crying sound I heard. Then guess what I heard? I'm sorry, but I can't guess, Chris replied without even attempting. I overheard my younger brother Bosco asking a girl who was in tears to abort the pregnancy she had for him. Immediately, he gave a pinch in my ears and I had to come out open for them to know I overheard everything. What did your mother say? Chris asked. Mother does not support abortion, but doesn't support the idea of Bosco marrying the girl. They want to abandon the girl after putting her in a family way, Cynthia said, almost crying. Did she say her reason? He asked his wife. Cynthia scratched her head, trying to put her mother's words together. Mother said there is no money for a marriage ceremony now. She explained that they were not buoyant enough to foot the bill. So I told them that you and I would sponsor the marriage. You said what? Her husband said, standing, raising his voice. Cynthia stood up from her chair and became jittery. My husband, I am so sorry. I didn't want Mother and Bosco to get away with what they wanted to do. So So you what? You made a financial declaration of sponsorship of a traditional and white wedding of which your money will not even be registered? Calm down, my husband, please, calm down, Cynthia pleaded. So, who is this girl? Do you even know her? Where is she from? Who are her parents? Do you? Asked Chris. No, I wasn't thinking of all of that. I am sorry. I acted swiftly without consulting you first. With the displeasure of hearing that, Chris stood up and went to his room, leaving Cynthia to use her tongue and count her teeth. Cynthia, on one hand, was sad about making the decision without telling her husband, and on the other hand, she was happy. that she was able to stop Bosco and her mother from thinking that they would get away with such act of irresponsibility. What do I do now? Cynthia asked herself in a sobbing tone. She bent her head low to think, then she stood up and paced back and forth, digging deep into her thinking faculty for ideas of what to do next. Then she sat slowly again on the chair, closing her eyes to relax her brain. After about an hour or so, she almost fell asleep. Then she felt someone's presence next to her. "We will sponsor the marriage ceremony," said Chris, smiling at her state of confusion. Cynthia looked upwards in shock, as if not hearing clearly. Chris nodded his head and concurred. Cynthia jumped on her husband, thanking him for accepting the responsibility. Chris asked his wife to sit down, on one condition: that you will find out everything you can about the girl and her family. Also, find out if she wants to get married to your brother. Know her stand on this matter. Then get back to me. Nodding her head in joy, Cynthia appreciated her husband for the bold step. She did all her husband asked and held the meeting with her mother and siblings, convincing them to accept Barini as a member of the family. She advised her brother that if he rejected Barini only because he wasn't ready to settle down, then it meant that he had feelings for her, but simply wanted more time to bachelorhood. Cynthia spoke extensively and they all accepted for the wedding to take place. One day, Cynthia invited Barini to the family house where they had a long chat with the whole family. Cynthia asked Barini to calm down and stop worrying about the pregnancy. The family had already decided that she will become Bosco's wife. Barini was happy with the family members, especially Cynthia, whom she called Aunt Cynthia. Barini was already 8 weeks into the pregnancy. Plans to see her parents started with immediate effect. After 1 month, Bosco and Barini were both married in the traditional way. After the marriage ceremony, Bosco was blessed with a very good job owned by a foreign-based company. He was well paid and he became the breadwinner of the family, as all other siblings not yet married and their mother depended on him for almost everything. This was a great relief for Cynthia and her husband. Money is one thing that corrupts a human being. Months later, Bosco and his wife became very close as their lives improved greatly. With the help of Bosco's new job, he worked offshore. Within the space of a year, Bosco bought a new car and built a house. Cynthia visited from time to time to find out how her younger brother and his wife were faring. One day, she dropped by to say hello. As the doorbell rang, Barini went to see who was at the door. As she saw her sister-in-law, she hissed and turned away back into the room. "What a cold welcome, Barini," Cynthia said with a great surprise. "I'm talking to you, young lady. Is that how you greet your husband's sister? Is that how you now welcome me into your house?" Barini sparked on hearing those words. "So I should kneel down for you in my own house, Cynthia? Oh, you now talk to me with disrespect. Have I done anything wrong, Barini? Have I offended you? Please tell me." Barini turned her back on Cynthia and kept quiet. Amazingly, Cynthia asked of her brother Bosco, but Barini didn't reply her. Cynthia felt insulted and went for the door. As soon as she opened the door to leave, Bosco was coming in. He seemed the energy around was not a pleasant one, so he asked if there was any problem. Cynthia started to explain. "I knocked on the door a while ago and your wife opened for me, but couldn't even say hello or welcome me into the house. When I asked if there was a problem or if I had offended her, she kept mute till this minute. Don't mind how. She came in here asking questions like I'm her servant or what. Tell her I'm not the little Barini she used to know." "What? Did you just say that or?" Cynthia asked in great amazement. "Cynthia, please stop harassing my wife.
You cannot come in here in my absence saying all sorts of things to my wife. Bosco scolded at Cynthia. Cynthia could not believe it. She was amazed as ever. She felt like crying as she looked at Barini and her younger brother and left. As Cynthia entered her house, her husband was about leaving for work. He was called to the hospital for an emergency case. He greeted his wife and a beat to dash out of the house, but saw her sobbing face. "What is the matter, Cynthia? Who did this to you?" She was so hurt, then she began to stammer. Chris patted his wife on the back and rushed to work, but his mind roamed about as to what the problem might have been. As soon as Chris finished the operation, he went home to his wife. Cynthia told him everything that had happened, how she was humiliated by Bosco and his wife. Her husband advised her to stay away for a while and give them their space. Forget about what happened today. The truth will come out soon. And when that happens, you will know where this is coming from, said Chris. Thank you, dear. What will I do without you? Cynthia responded. Donobari had been having it all going well since her son Bosco got his new job. She never visited Cynthia anymore. She didn't even ask of her from other children of hers. One day they both met at a market. Cynthia was hoping that her mother would be so happy to see her since it'd been long they last met. The reverse was the case. Mother, good morning. You came to the market, Cynthia said happily. Of course, I came to the market. Or can't you see? Donna replied her daughter. Mother, we are not quarreling. I was just surprised to see you. How are you doing, Mother? Asked Cynthia, turning round and round, displaying her beautiful dress before Cynthia. Donna said, Can't you see how beautiful I am? Do I need to tell you, Cynthia, that I have gotten what you and that your stingy husband of yours could not give me? Don walked away, leaving Cynthia embarrassed. It was as if the ground should open for Cynthia to enter and hide. She now knew where all the insults were coming from. Cynthia followed her mother, saying, It is about money, Mother. All this is about money, right? Your son now has a good job, and so you dump the one and only person that has been carrying the family's responsibility since Dad died. I am now a nobody, she said softly as they started to attract attention. Donu did not reply Cynthia. Tears ran down her eyes as she watched her mother till she faded at the corner of the market. Cynthia refused to mention it to her husband since it had to do with money and pride. She let it go. Years passed. Cynthia never went visiting or looking for her mom or any of her other siblings. It was 5 solid years. They never came visiting either. She went on with her life, but inwardly touched her. She did not attend her brother's child's birthday party. She was not even invited. Having a set of twins and a baby girl, Cynthia decided to go out with her children to have some fun. They were in the mood of having fun. As they strolled to a fancy restaurant with their children, they witnessed a fatal accident. Cynthia took the children to a corner where they could not see the scene of the accident, then went back to watch. 2 cars collided and tumbled at the same time. As the cars were stationed apart, the woman in one of the cars was trying to remove herself through the window of the driver's seat, but it was like she was stuck. People were afraid of going close as the fuel tank had started leaking. Cynthia felt this connection, so she couldn't hold back as she ran to help. Not minding her 2 children, as she got to the vehicle, she tried to pull the door open, but it was jammed. So she stretched and tried to disentangle the woman from the seatbelt, then dragged her out through the window to a corner by the road. The woman who started pointing at the car, giving a sign that someone else was in the vehicle. Cynthia's eyes sighted her children. They had come out from the very spot she left them. She had to make a quick decision of whether to go for her children or save the life of the other person in the car. Without enough time to think, Cynthia saw herself running to the car. The back door on the other side was already open due to the accident, so she tried dragging the person out. It was a woman, and she was too heavy for Cynthia. She beckoned on someone to please assist her. A good Samaritan came forward, while all the other passerbys watched. They both dragged the woman to the same spot. The first victim was lying. The next thing they heard was an explosion. The car exploded. Cynthia could not see her children due to the flame that overshadowed everywhere. She became scared. As she took another direction to get to where her children stood, she found them crying for her. Cynthia calmed them down and went back to the accident victims, only to identify the two people as Babine and her own mother, Donubari. Cynthia burst into tears as she shouted, "What a small world!" Babine looked at her and started weeping as she recognized her sister-in-law. Donubari was unconscious and rushed to the hospital immediately. Biting the finger that fed you is very bad. How about you? Hope you learned something from this story. Thanks for watching Story Lovers. Again, this is Folks and Tales. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a big thumbs up. Comment and share this video to other story lovers. Also, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever we upload the video. We'll be uploading intriguing and captivating stories multiple times per week. You don't want to miss them. Until my next one, peace and love.